I always hate like podcasts when they're like, hey everybody, welcome to the
Really, I like
RevueLog
that
podcast.
I like knowing what I'm listening.
I'm Benny
to.
Girkman. This is Jared from Avalanche Reviews.
That's the intro.
I hate that. No, we can't do that as the intro. That's the intro joke for the last 4 intros. We can't make that the intro again.
That could be the running joke. There is no intro.
That's horrible.
No
one's
intro
gonna laugh at that.
podcast.
No one's gonna laugh at that. If our intro every time is, I think that's the intro. You know, every time it was funny the first time, the second time maybe.
Yeah.
And then now it's like the 5th time.
The second time.
Actually, yeah, that's true. We'll keep it. Whatever. Hey,
Yeah,
everybody. Welcome to the RevueLog podcast. I'm Benny Girkman. As I said before, this is Jared from Avalanche Reviews. Jared, how you doing today?
I'm doing better. I was a little sick, so I sound kind of...
Yeah, your voice... I flew into Japan, if you don't know. We're in Japan right now. That's why I look so weird. He immediately spoke... And the first thought my brain was, oh my God, he was faking the voice.
Yeah.
Because it sounded just like normal guy. It's like, hey Benny, how's it going?
How you doing?
Yeah. And I kind of knew it wasn't faked, but like that was the first thought my brain had was, oh my God.
And now you have a little bit of doubt.
Yeah.
I'm
like, is he putting it on for me right now as we're talking? It's very possible.
Yeah. It could be.
So yeah, I'm here in Japan, Tokyo, some might say.
Yeah.
Only some people though.
Colloquially known as.
Yes. For Tokyo Game Show, we went. We had a great time. I think.
Yeah.
Okay time at least. Mediocre at worst. It was pretty good. I will say first off, my expectations for a game industry event. I think we're like exactly met, you know, It didn't exceed it. It didn't fall flat. It was like, that is exactly what I expect one of these to be like. And it was exactly on that line.
Cause you've been to GDC, right?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh, okay.
I always watch GDC. Like I watch coverage of all these. So maybe that helps.
Yeah.
That I already kind of know what goes on. I've wanted to go to GDC, but, actually, unironically, I think it was cheaper to come to Tokyo, because the hotel for like GDC's 5 days.
Oh,
hotel in San Francisco, you're talking $350 if you get the worst hotel in the city.
Damn.
My hotel here, it's like $50 USD a night. Yeah. You know, and so the flight's expensive. It's like $1,000 flight here to my home to San Francisco or LA is like $80 or something. Like I could fly there. I think if I go to the Game Awards, I'm literally flying there, staying up all night until the 6 a.m. flight. I'm flying home. But yeah, I can't do that here. But yeah, it was nice. You've gone how many years now?
3. Yeah, the past 3 years in a row.
3 years. Is it about what you expect now, or better, any worse?
So interestingly, when me and my wife first started going, we went during the public day. So it was crowded. I think I've been twice for the public day. I've been 3 times since we lived here in the country.
So this would be your 5th time? Or
Yeah. Or my fourth time.
4th time, okay.
So 2 of them were public days and 2 of them were press days.
Yeah.
Last year, a really nice guy, Serafini Productions, I think is the name.
Last name Productions?
Yeah, last name Production. He got me in for the press day, and it's so much better.
Yeah.
And we were just talking, the line was like 3 miles long to get in on the public day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say this year had the most stuff that I went into it excited for sure.
I think for me, at least, Tokyo Game Show is maybe the least interesting of all of the worldwide events in terms of what games are there. Because there aren't that many Japanese games that I'm normally interested in. I'm not an RPG person at all. I hate RPGs. I'm not a visual novel person. I don't know what other like platinum games, style games I also don't like. So all of the big hallmarks of Japanese game development are not my types of games. I don't like Persona. I struggle to think, other than like Kojima and Capcom, like a single Japanese developer. I actually have played their games.
Well, you're young. You'll get there.
Of course. Yeah. In my infant age, there haven't been many I've experienced, but yeah, there's not many things going on there that I would be like, yeah, I want to go to see that. But this year was an outlier. You had Silent Hill 2 remake.
Yes.
And you had Metal Gear Solid Delta. And that is, I would travel anywhere for those two series at this point. Put it in Azerbaijan, put it in, I don't know, what's a really remote place? Madagascar. Bulgaria. Is that remote? I don't know if that's remote, but sure, I'd go to Bulgaria for it.
For me here in Japan,
that's true. That is like a 20-hour flight probably. Yeah. I would go anywhere for those games, and it just so happened it's in Tokyo, so big up. I went. What do you go in expecting? Because I obviously Silent Hill 2, Metal Gear Delta. What are you interested in going into one of these events? Are you doing it like at a just pure interest for the event part of it, or were you excited for these games as well?
Though a little bit of both. I like the idea of going there and finding out something. Like I think I found out about the Suikoden HD remaster last year on the way to TGS or something like that. So I like finding out about stuff at these events, but you can't miss Silent Hill 2, MGS Delta.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think I had anything in mind at all.
I will say there were a lot of games I didn't expect to be there, or like not even didn't expect, like thought specifically were not going to be there that ended up being there. Stuff like Stalker 2. Yeah. Ukrainian-led development team, or I guess now they're, after the war, they're in, I forget what country they moved to.
They moved?
Yeah, their studio moved. As many of them as could, I guess. I don't know the whole situation there, but that is a game that, one, I didn't expect to be anywhere ever anytime soon.
Same here.
And we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I think. And two, a Tokyo game show. They had a developer from the team there too, all the way in Tokyo, which was nice. Dragon Age the Veilguard. It's coming out soon. So, I would expect it would have a big presence worldwide, but they had a good, 5 or 6 demo stations for a game that I imagine is not huge in Japan. Certainly, if we're talking about interest of people in Japan in terms of how big the booths are there, they got nothing. Fucking Infinity Nikki, a Victory of Goddess had a city block sized venue. What was that other one that I can't remember? It was like
they had a big Goku at the Bandai Namco one.
Huge. They had a what's that fighting game you like? Fatal Fury. That a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, just giant SNK signs. Like
the size that a Nintendo booth would be at Summer Game Fest or something was the size of these games I had, some of them never heard about, or just mobile games or whatever. I kind of another general thing that surprised me were booth babes are still in Tokyo Game Show. That is very much long dead practice in Western events, but they're still there. Yeah. I don't really get it. I understand like the ones that are like full on cosplayers. Those were sick. Like the Silent Hill 2 had bubble head nurses. Yeah. They were so good.
It was cool.
They were so good, but then like Metal Gear had like just people, like women dressed in crop tops with Metal Gear Solid Delta written on them, and I'm like, I don't get more excited for the game for this at all. But they're still alive and well, and they're thriving here at Tokyo Game Show. So that was another. Nothing culture shocked me coming to Tokyo. None of the rules, none of the culture. Everything kind of makes sense here. That was the one thing I'm like,
the booth babes gotcha.
Why? This makes no sense. Anyway, I followed some of them on Twitter. They're very nice people. And it turns out their whole job is company PR doing that.
Oh,
like
that's cool.
They're cosplayer / PR. That's
awesome.
All they do. So the fact that that's a career, I think it is pretty cool, but it's just not expected, I think.
Yeah. I mean, E3, they stopped doing that a long time ago.
You're so old that it's not even called E3 anymore. E3 is dead. E3 hasn't been a thing since like 2019.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, because COVID happened. And so I think you had online E3 in 2020.
And then the year after.
And then the year after, like, we're going to do it. And then they didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then the year after, like, but just wait, we're going to do it. And then didn't do it. And then the third year, they're like, we're doing it. And then a month before, they're like, big surprise.
Yeah.
We're not doing it. So that's been dead for a long time. So you're really out of touch, you know? Got to get your head in the game.
That's par for the course.
We even talked. You talked earlier. You went 2 public days. You've been on YouTube for 16 years.
Yeah, roundabout
or something. You could have easily gotten a press pass the first time.
Yeah.
You know, this guy doesn't pay any attention to anything.
It's hard to explain. If it's not the process of making a YouTube video, I just can't be fucked. Like,
and to be fair, you know, as much as a complaint I have against you is that you don't pay attention to those kind of things, you have kind of perfected the craft of making the video. I'm in his house right now.
Yeah.
The Avalanche. What would you call it? The Jared Casa
de Jared.
Casa de Jared. He has this TV set up behind me. This is a TV with all these old consoles that I swear to God is cable managed so well that it looks like they're floating.
The word immaculate comes to mind.
Exactly, yes. And it's set up with like a switcher and everything. So like it's all like you don't have to go down there and switch HDMI ports like I do in my room. And I try to say that I'm organized. I got nothing. You have foam. He has drawers, IKEA drawers with pre-cut foam that he cut out to put controllers that have a magnetic port on them that he can just move the cable and just plug in magnetically each controller in the drawer.
I'm kind of obsessed with that phone over there is magnetically charging as well.
It's insane. The amount of time you put into these things probably outweighs the time you use them.
For sure.
Yeah.
When you work from home, it's the game's called Keeping Yourself Busy. So I bought a roll of magnetic adhesive tape. I don't think there's less than 35 things in this house that aren't magnetized to a surface of some kind.
And to be fair, one day I will be as organized as that.
You'll
I hope
there.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things that you always see people on Reddit post, like, here's my battle station. You're like, that's the nicest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's a different thing to walk in and you see one of those. Yeah. You know, I'm gonna put up the picture when I edit. He made all the wallpapers my face.
Yeah, it was good.
And it was like seeing a wonder of the world coming in here with my face and all the 3 monitors on this setup. Gorgeous.
Yeah, and every time I start my computer now, the first wallpaper I see is you.
And anytime you're going to get a administrator like yes or no prompt, it's going to be there too. So I hope you keep that forever until you die. But we're not here to talk about my face. As much as I love talking about my face, we're here to talk about the games we played at Tokyo Game Show, which, despite going to the thing called Tokyo Game Show, we didn't play many games.
No.
First, though, maybe the most exciting to talk about, because at least I actually did play it, Metal Gear Solid Delta. So, of course, Metal Gear Solid 3, if you don't know what that is, you're probably on the wrong channel. Acclaimed stealth espionage. Stealth espionage action. Thank you. Hideo Kojima, love that guy. Me and him, good pals. You know, we were out talking about it last night. It was great. Getting rebaited by Konami, because I don't know this whole story, and you probably do. So I do want to ask you, because I don't know, as much as I kind of try to keep them on video games, I am, like you say, an infant. So when the Hideo Kojima Konami stuff was going down, I was what? That was like 2016 was Metal Gear Survive. So I would have been 11-ish when that's happening. What's the whole deal with Kojima and Konami? I need to know. I haven't done a deep dive or anything. I feel like I should.
He's sort of an untenable employee.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, he's an auteur. I mean, like, he's Roman Polanski for video games. So he was kind of going off and doing his own thing because he's so used to just being Hideo Kojima. So he spent such a large portion of Konami's money on the Fox engine that they used for one game.
The best engine ever made. Actually, 2 games.
Oh, because Survive, right? Yeah.
You're forgetting about seminal horror classic, Metal Gear Survive.
It looks kind of sort of interesting in a way.
I want to play it.
Yeah.
I want to play it. Like, I know people in the comments can be like, I played it. It was the worst game I ever. What they did to Hideo Kojima, I'm gonna go blow up Konami's offices. But like, man, it looks like the first zombie game that's actually interesting.
It looks cool. Yeah. And I like the premise and everything. And then the fact that it's technically in the Metal Gear universe.
Yeah.
But he was costing them a lot of money on top of, they pay him. So like on top of all the money they spent on making his engine, they have to pay him a paycheck. And then what really the straw that broke the camel's back was PT. Because he released the playable teaser of Silent Hills before asking anybody at Konami if he could touch that series, which I'm sure they would have let him. Yeah. But he made a public announcement for the company for one of their properties. And they essentially put him in an office in the back and didn't let him talk to anybody anymore. Yeah. And okay, so I don't know if this is true. I remember hearing that he was talking to a lot of people in the press, and then they ended up like monitoring his emails or something.
I have heard that like in the Kojima offices at Konami, there was a lot of like locking people out of their offices or locking them in the offices, monitoring their email, like just really shitty employer things that they were doing. Bad things, but he also just announced the entire game without their knowledge. So
I think he was trying to get fired is the thing. I think that was the general idea, is that he wanted to be fired, so he just kept doing stuff that was crazy. Either that, or he is just kind of baseline crazy. Yeah. So they kicked him out, and I would say if he was trying to get fired, it was the best business decision he could have made, because I imagine Sony pays him much more than Konami could.
Yeah. I think even just if it was on purpose, the media controversy that was made around it was like perfectly crafted in his favor.
Very
like Jeff Keighley getting angry at the Game Awards, and just like obviously Konami for years seemingly didn't seem to be doing much good on their side with any of the properties that they have. Castlevania, Silent Hill.
If it wasn't a soccer game, they weren't doing it.
Or what the hell? Super Mega Baseball. What's it called? What's the guy we saw? The baseball guy.
Oh,
they look like Mii's.
Oh, I forget the Japanese name. I know, like whatever. Backyard baseball.
Yeah, baseball game. Apparently, they weren't good at anything else. Pachinko machines, maybe.
Gym equipment too.
Gym equipment, really? Yeah.
Konami makes a lot of their money here in Japan off of gyms and Pachi slot machines and buildings. So when COVID hit and those started to dry up here in Japan, because the restrictions were a little more harsh here than some places in the States, that's when you saw them start doubling down. Hey, we got Silent Hill games coming. Yeah. We're remastering Suikoden. They're letting people touch Contra. So they got into a position where they had to get back into games. Yeah. But for a good 7 years, 6 years, something like that, they just focused on the entertainment side of things here domestically.
And now that you mentioned especially like the slot machines and everything, as we start to actually talk about Metal Gear Solid Delta, I kind of knew this was coming a long time ago, because Konami fires or gets rid of Hideo Kojima. Kojima's out doing his own thing. They were very, very scared to say his name for a while. It felt like Survive does not mention him at all. Yeah. The Master Collection, even, which was last year, 2023, right? Has I'm not 100% sure how they divvied it up. Like it's like they're scared to say his name, basically, or put him in a logo on the box cover or anything.
think about it. It's PR nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, here's this Konami game. I used to live in a place in Sumida where that was audible all day long.
Yeah.
But if they put presented by Kojima, they're like advertising for a competitor's employee, essentially. Yeah. So I get it to a degree. It seems petty, but
he's also not there anymore.
Yeah,
like,
it makes sense.
Yeah. But anyway, back to me knowing this existed. There were the slot machines that they make, and there was a Metal Gear Solid 3 themed slot machine with really, really high, like still today look very good renders of Metal Gear Solid 3 cutscenes with the boss fight at the end. And saying the boss fight at the end sounds like I'm just talking about a boss at the end, but the boss fight at the end. Yeah. And I think even, who's the flame guy? What's his name? Is it Fury? The Fury. They had like these renders and him falling from the Halo jump and the parachute and everything. They had these cutscenes that were really well done. Yeah. I don't know if they were Fox Engine or what they are, but they just looked really good, and they were obviously new assets. There was someone at Konami making new Metal Gear assets, and that was like 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
And so they have all these assets, and I don't think I don't think we see any of those assets in modern day Metal Gear Solid Delta. But I could kind of sense that if they were going to do anything, they might as well do the thing they already put work into, because it's Konami. So flashback to 2 years ago, I think at this point, maybe a year ago, I think it was last year, beginning of last year at the Xbox showcase, they announced it, and I was like, I already knew. I felt so smart. I was like, I could see this coming from
10 years ago.
10 years ago, I knew they were doing it. Yeah. And to all of the developers at Konami that are working on this, to their great benefit, I think it looks really, really, like, visually, fantastic.
How do you feel about them stripping away the kind of yellow filter and some of the video stuff they did?
So that's a common complaint I see on Twitter a lot. It's like it doesn't have the vibe of the original, but I think if you're gonna, we see kind of the same thing with Silent Hill 2. Those are things done with the intention of giving it a vibe when the technology wasn't there to just make it what it would look like in real life. Yeah. Like the fog in Silent Hill 1 would look like shit if you just put that on PS5, you know? Like it wouldn't work. And so you have to make the choice of, do I make it look like the old game 1-to-1, which is going to look weird because it looks so good now, everything looks so good, or do I kind of take what the attempt at making it tried to make it feel like, and instead make what it would feel like and make that into reality?
I think there's a couple of things at play here. So when MGS3 came out, it was pretty common to use more artistic tricks to give a game a boost visually, like you're saying. It's not necessary anymore. I can see the arguments for representing it 1-to-1 because that's how I prefer it. But I feel like in the grand scheme of things, the voice acting's there, the music's there, visually it's accurate.
Especially with
of that.
Metal Gear Solid Delta, you have the option to add those things back in.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Classic camera mode. You have piss filter mode.
Okay.
And I think there's some UI options to make it more like the original UI, if I remember correctly. Like there are essentially the game plays like Metal Gear Solid 5, but more restrictive. Like you can't jump and roll and sprint around like you can in 5. It still has that same methodical feel to it. Yeah. But like just, pressing a circle to stand versus crouch feels like Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
And so it still has like the aura of the of Metal Gear Solid 3 original, without making it feel like just playing the hits of the story, but completely new game.
Yeah.
Did you play Dead Rising? Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster?
I haven't played it yet.
So it's a remaster / remake, but in the same exact engine, with the same exact systems.
It's basically the same as Delta.
Yeah. Well, no, because Delta is like, at least from a game, I don't know the technical side of this, but DRDR is just that original game
with new assets
with new assets put into it. Yeah. And the menus are different, and there's autosave, and there's it's not just that simple, but it is basically just new assets in an old game. Basically a remaster. MGS Delta, I don't know. Is it in the Fox engine? Is it in...
So
like...
I'm not super knowledgeable, but I think from what I heard is it's the same as Dead Rising in the sense it's not necessarily being emulated, but it's new assets on top of the old system.
Systems. Okay. It doesn't feel like it, I will say. Like DRDR I played, I couldn't get past the first hour because even though it looks better, it feels really old. And so at that point, I would rather just play the old version that feels cohesive. 3, Metal Gear Solid Delta looks incredible, and it plays so much better. I played Metal Gear Solid 3 for the first time this year.
Yeah.
And although Metal Gear Solid 2 is my favorite, I've gone on record, I love 2. 3 is where I felt the controls were the thing that harmed it the most. Because 2 is a bunch of straight corridors.
Yeah.
And so even though the controls suck, there's not much I can do wrong, you know? And I can hide behind things and use it to my advantage. Whereas 3 is very granular. You have to slow down a lot.
And it's more open too.
It is more open, and there's a lot more situations in which you have to use all the tools to your advantage. You can't just go in, shoot 5 guys, walk to the next room. Or in Metal Gear Solid 2, a lot of the times I would get them to go into caution mode, and then I would just run back out the door. Caution mode would end, and I'd run back in. 3, you can't really do that as easily. I don't know if you can do it at all, because I think
it carries from
the modes carry from mode to mode, so that you have to be much more careful. And the controls were not ready for that. In terms of Metal Gear Solid Delta, I got to play it. You got to sit there and watch.
I feel proud for you.
Yeah. Listen, so we should talk about how we even got into this demo in the first place. Because we tried to play the real demo out on the show floor. We really tried. We went there early in the morning. The guy was like...
Well, here's the crazy part, is we showed up before the show even started.
Yeah.
So we were in line just waiting to get in. We go to the MGS3 booth first, because that was our big goal was Silent Hill 2 MGS3. We get in line for what we assume is the playable demo, and it turns out it's just like a promo thing. You could take pictures and stuff. Got some good pictures. Yeah. But then
they have a little poster and a calorie mate little box
advertisement. Yeah. Which those are still available and huge here in Japan. But so then we get in line for the demo, and the guy says you need a ticket. So it was like 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it was like we were there. Show starts 11?
Yeah, it's either 10 or 11, something like that.
And then we were there 11:15 or something, immediately, because you got to wait for a ticket. Come back at 1 o'clock.
Yeah. So we come back at 12:45, thinking we're early. Smart.
Yeah.
And then we get in line with a bunch of people, and it's not it's not a line. It's a
mass,
a grouping.
Yeah.
So we get into this grouping, and we don't know this at the time, but we're lined up in the middle of it, but everybody on the left technically is the front of the line.
Yeah. So the line is right here, the actual line for the demo. And then all the people waiting for the demo are over here. And one would think if you're over here next to where the actual line is, that's where they're going to start taking the tickets. So we kind of stood in the middle being well, it could be over there. It could be over here. It ended up being way over there on the other side, as far away from the real line as you could get for the demo tickets.
And we missed the cutoff for how many tickets they had by 30 people maybe.
So we were close. I don't think we could have played it any better with the knowledge we had.
Yeah.
Like we tried. We were in the middle. We tried to move as quick as we could.
Next time we'll know.
Yes.
And we'll also be 30 minutes early.
Yeah.
But we thought the day was ruined.
Yeah.
Because we'll get into it later, but Silent Hill 2 didn't have anything playable.
Yeah, it was like a little
interactive
cutscene
trailer thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But so we're kind of disappointed. And then towards the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I have this creator's credentials thing, and you were my camera guy.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, makeup and hair.
Makeup and hair.
Please.
And then he did a fabulous job.
Yes.
So,
I spent a lot of time, even today. I worked on the hair. It's
and this was my first time actually being able to go inside this thing out of all the times I've seen it. So me and you were like, hey, let's try it out.
Yeah.
So we go inside. I sign a little like sign.
Yeah,
it says TGS 2024. And then we go upstairs, and what did they have but a little thing you can sign up for MGS Delta.
Yeah.
At your own little personal booth with your own headphones and stuff. It was dope, but it was towards the end of the day, and you have to sign up for a time slot. So some guy did, but he didn't finish his time slot. So we have my wife, cute girl, her way in.
Who actually knows Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And asked the woman, can we just take the rest of that guy's time slot? And she like gets a manager, and it's the whole thing. But they're like, okay, you have like 15, 20 minutes.
Also, I do think it's funny to point out that to get into the creator zone, we wanted to bring your wife in with us. And so they had to get a manager there to talk to and be like, is this okay? Can she come in? They're literally married.
Yeah.
And then we had to do it again for the demo. The same thing. Gets the manager. Is it okay? Does this work?
Yeah. That speaks to how things usually work here.
But we got it.
Yes.
And I was like, listen, you're the influencer. You're the guy with the YouTube following. You take it. I don't care. But then you're like, no, you're the Metal Gear guy. Even though I'm not the Metal Gear guy, I guess I am the Metal Gear guy between us, like proportionally. Yeah. But I got to play it. This guy didn't, because he's an idiot and he's too kind. But yeah, so I got the same demo as the rest of people at TGS, but in a private area where no one was talking to me, messing with me.
It was quiet too.
Yeah. Actually well ventilated compared to the rest of the show floor.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, I played that demo. Like I skipped through all the cutscenes because those were all released on YouTube and everything. Yeah. But I finished the demo really quickly and waited. No one ever showed up to take the next
time slot.
So even though I rushed through the cutscenes, I took my time with the gameplay and everything, but I was like, I don't need to. It's the same voice lines as the original. Not much is going to be different. And so sort of had as much time as I wanted to mess around. I was just like, okay, I'm going to do the gameplay, mess around. And if they come and get me, I've spent all the time getting what I need.
Yeah.
But I had I think it's a 15-minute demo. If you're on the show floor, I probably played it for 20 minutes, I'd say overall. And I just tried to test things out. I got caught. I, tried to go loud, try to go quiet. And I think the biggest thing I can say for it is that, they haven't changed anything fundamentally, but it is like the single best quality of life update you could ever give a game ever in the history of quality of life updates. Even just down to the combat, it has that Metal Gear Solid 5 feel, but I think even more importantly than just the way the animations look and the delay between things, it's the button placement, especially the control scheme, and the labeling of things. So Metal Gear Solid 3, when you play it doesn't have a tutorial. It kind of does.
Yeah.
But it doesn't explain things in a way that makes any sense. Maybe if you read the manual the whole way through and then you do the tutorial, you'll get some aspect of it. But I played the Master Collection. I wasn't opening up the digital manual of MGS3 or anything. Yeah. So it was a rough game, and I don't think I ever at any point of 2 and 3, which both have very similar controls, ever felt like I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
Or could execute the thought I had in my brain of what I wanted to do. Delta is the opposite of that. You know, what I think I can do because it is just like every other game. And maybe other people are going to be like, I don't want it to be like every other game, but it feels good and it feels correct.
I could see an argument for both sides, because you want it to be playable in a modern sense and familiar to people who play modern games, but...
And I didn't get to mess around with the settings, even though I wanted to. There's no, like when I pressed options, nothing came up. But from what I've seen pre-release screenshots and trailers, it looks like you can change like the camera angle to be more like the original. I don't know if the controls can be different, but even if it's actually the original camera of like the original release, not Subsistence, which was a little bit better, but if it's actually the original, don't worry, the controls are going to be horrendous. So you can have an original quality feel if you want those bad controls and just use the horrible original camera. But yeah, it felt good. It looked good. That's kind of all I want. Yeah. Right. They're using all the original voice work, and I can't tell. It's not like a Metal Gear Solid 1 or like a, I don't know, like Max Payne kind of thing where like it's obvious they recorded in like an apartment on like a laptop from in like 1998 or whatever. Like it's good quality, and once you have all the EQ and effects in there, it's as good as if it was recorded today. The redesigns of the character I do want to talk about. I think Snake looks great. I think this might be, personally, this is the best Snake family Snake that we've ever gotten, period. I think he just looks perfect. Cool. He looks the part. Yeah. I will always be a fan of David Hayter's Snake in 4. I love that. It looks so cool. And when I was a kid, I played 5. So I will always love Venom Snake's kind of horns and that kind of look. But I think just like, if you think about Solid Snake in your head, or not Solid Snake, just Snake, period. Like, what the hell is it called? Like marketing wise, just give me Snake to put on this thing. This is who I think about, you know? Have you seen the other character designs? Have you looked at them much?
Bogan looks cool.
Yeah. I think. But he also looks exactly like the original. You know, he doesn't look that much different. Same with Sokolov. There's more depth to the scars on his face and stuff. It is, you know, it's like you see an original character art upscaled, you know. Ava and Ocelot though look like you're doing a remake of a movie and you hired different actors. Almost like they look, their outfits are the same, but their facial structure and everything completely different. I'm not a fan of Ocelot. They ungirl bossed him and yassified him in the same stroke.
That's so hard to do.
And he just looks like a little asshole now. I mean, he is a little asshole.
I was about to say,
but I don't know. He kind of looks like a little freak. I feel
like I enjoyed what they did with Boss. She looks. There's more lines on her face now. She looks rode hard. Yeah. And her character was like, she was a hard ass. She had seen some shit. So her face now represents that really well.
She's a good example of like what you kind of couldn't do. You couldn't have that much texture in a face. Yeah. And I think it is a little jarring playing it for the first time, where like this is supposed to be a storied woman who has fought in many wars. And she kind of looks like she's like 25, you know, like she doesn't look the her age that she's supposed to feel at all. And Delta doesn't take it and like make her look 50, like the Dead Space remake did to what's her name,
or The Last of Us as well with Tess.
Oh yeah, with Tess. We're like, I think it works better in the end. And like if you came into it new for those games, I think unequivocally the new one is better. But when you have the original and you've played the original, it's not the same. Yeah. This is not one of those examples. Like I think she just looks right here.
I agree.
Ava looks different. But again, I don't think it matters to her character as much. Yeah. Like Ocelot looks like he should have a different personality. And maybe, you know, maybe this is me because I've played the original, that, you know, that personality goes with that face. And maybe now his face if someone plays it for the first time, it makes more sense, just kind of how he looks and how he acts. He does look a lot more like Metal Gear Solid 2 Ocelot or 1 Ocelot, where he has that, like, especially actually Metal Gear Solid 5, where it's like the very pointed chin, very, very like shaved kind of look. He looks more accurate to how he looks when he's old. But I will always miss, like, Girl Boss. He almost has like a Leon Kennedy kind of look to him.
He's very young looking in the PS2 original.
And now they massacred my boy, and I will never forgive them for that. I can't wait for the mod. Nexus Mods Day 1. We put the old facial structure into Ocelot.
Yeah, it's coming for sure.
But other than that, I mean, when that's my biggest complaint is that they took away the girl boss face of my favorite character. Pretty good remake attempt, I think, so far.
Have we seen the end yet?
No, I don't think. Maybe because in the demo they have that scene where they're on the bridge and the boss has like the rocket launchers and you like the helicopters up there with the four of them. So maybe you can see them in that, but it's like very quick. I don't know if it actually works. I'm interested to see. I can't remember his name. The one that's like Vamp. Is it the Fear?
Yeah.
Or no, because the Fear's at the end.
Fear's the snake one.
So, okay,
and
so
Lizard one.
then the end.
Yeah.
No, isn't it? No, the end's the old guy, the sniper. The Fear.
Who's the Phantom guy?
Like the one at the end, right? The like weird river guy.
Yeah. What was his name?
Oh fuck, I'm looking it up.
You have to.
We got for.
We can cut this out.
I'm not going to cut it out. That's too much
Keep
work.
it in authenticity. What is his name? God,
why is he so far down on this list? Okay. Dude, his Wikipedia page doesn't have a photo of him. Come on. What is this website, dude? Why is Heather Mason on this list? This is
a list of the coolest video game characters ever.
I'm on Giant Bomb, Metal Gear Solid 3 Steak Eater, characters.
Heather Mason.
Alessa Gillespie.
Obviously. I mean, do you have an argument with that or?
Number 2, Big Boss. Number 3, Colonel Campbell. Number 4, Volgan. Number 5, Ava. Who the fuck is this? Number 6, Guy Savage. Who the fuck is Guy Savage?
I think that's from that there's a Konami like hack and slash game that you can play in MGS3 as a nightmare.
All right, so I guess
maybe that's technically
that technically works.
Yeah.
Ivan Radinovich Rykov. He's not in Metal Gear Solid 3.
There's a mask for him.
Oh my god. Okay, maybe there's a masks. Is there a Heather Mason mask?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Or like an Easter egg with Heather?
Maybe.
When did this game come out?
About that.
When did they come out in relation to each other?
MGS3 came out after Silent Hill 3 for sure.
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Major
Zero.
That's technically true, yeah.
Nikita Khrushchev. Okay, here we go. Paramedic. Sigint. Sokolov. Solid Snake again. Or no, that was Big Boss. Now it's Solid Snake.
But is Solid
Snake is not. No, because if you choose, when it's like, which game have you played? And you choose Metal Gear Solid 1, it gives you the bandana.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. The End. Then The Fear. He's the one with the crossbow, so he's the snake guy.
Yeah. The Fear.
The Fury. That's the flame guy. The Pain is the bee guy.
Yes.
Do you want to guess who the guy at the end is?
I got nothing.
The Sorrow.
Fuck, that's so obvious.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell we were talking about before that. Something, helicopter, whatever. Anyway, all the characters look good. The game looks visually phenomenal.
Yes, it does.
And I think this is one of those examples where like you can kind of see if it's going to be good by like the first trailer. You know, they came out, same voice work, same story. There isn't much they can fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, they're keeping the same like the levels are the same geometry as far as I'm aware. They're just updated visually. And so the gameplay is not going to be really any different. It feels better to play. It doesn't feel worse.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
Yeah.
I can't wait. We didn't get a date yet, but there's no way this is going to be that far out.
I mean, it seems pretty locked in. It
was announced in Xbox's like partner preview in 2023.
Yeah.
All those other games got released. PlayStation had it earlier this year in their like games coming out in 2024 with Silent Hill 2. And we didn't have a date earlier this year. And that got announced for this year. It's coming out in a week. This hasn't come out yet or had a date. So I don't think it's coming in this year. I don't think there's any way that we're that close out and there's no date yet, but we got to be talking like March.
Yeah.
I feel like March feels right for that. Like, I don't know why, but March and Metal Gear Solid 3 like feel like a good pairing.
All right.
But yeah, I feel like it's soon. You have any thoughts on this?
I'm excited. It's been a long time since I played 3, admittedly, but me and the wife played through all of the Metal Gear games in order. I think 1 through 3 we did all in a fairly short amount of time, and then I had to buy a PS3 to play 4. Played that together.
Dude, same. I had to buy a PS3 to play 4, and it was worth it. Yeah. And I would buy it again. I'd buy another PS3 just to play it.
So a buddy of mine used to work at like Best Buy or Costco or somewhere where they sold PS3s, and he had 5-fingered one off of a truck, but they caught him on camera. And so they had to pay it back. So he sold it to me. That's how I got my PS3 to play MGS4.
If all they made him do was pay it back, that's a pretty good outcome.
They fired him too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They couldn't trust him anymore, which makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. I hope this doesn't lead. This is my only complaint. And it's not even a complaint because like nothing is official yet, but I hope this doesn't lead to them just doing like, okay, now we're going to do Metal Gear Solid 1, and now we're going to do Metal Gear Solid 2, and now we're going to do 4.
Why?
Because I want them to do Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2. Because those, if you remake those games, it's like a new game to most people. Even to me. Sure. And even if you have played the original, it is basically a new game anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be so different. But yeah, the story is the same. Some of it. But
if they remake Metal Gear 1, it'd be the same thing as remaking Metal Gear Solid 1. They're essentially the same story.
Yeah, but no, it doesn't count.
It's so
no. You need
like
to find
95%.
out. You need to find out that Venom's big boss is actually Venom Snake, and that Snake is actually Big Boss, and that Snake is Big Boss's son, but not Venom Snake's son, and that Big Boss is actually alive, and Solid Snake killed Venom Snake, and Venom Snake died instead of Big Boss, and then you killed Big Boss, I think, or something like that. I got it pretty close.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think Kojima can keep it all straight at this point.
Or, you know what we need? Snake's Revenge.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Kojima finally getting to direct that game.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, big ups for Metal Gear Solid Delta. Didn't get to play it like we should have, but we know for next year what to do.
For sure.
The other big game where we were excited to play and also didn't get to play, I guess, is Silent Hill 2 Remake. Obviously, Bloober Team's working on that one. We've talked about it a lot on RevueLog so far. Have your thoughts updated at all? So we waited in line for what we thought was a playable demo. It ended up being admittedly like a pretty long 10-minute maybe presentation. There was a bunch of cutscenes we hadn't seen before.
Yes.
Exploration we hadn't seen before. Very little combat, which was nice to see that Konami actually knows what the hell people want out of that game. And a big appearance by Pyramid Head as well. After seeing all that, any difference to what you've said before about this? Do you feel better, feel worse?
I feel better.
Feel better?
Sure. I was worried based on all the like footage and media that had come out. Konami was releasing a lot of action-packed stuff. Dude. And you know,
I mentioned this to you, but like if you go on Konami's Twitter and look at all the trailers of Silent Hill, all their Silent Hill 2 posts, it's all combat.
Yeah.
And then you go to Bloober Team, they actually like know what to show. It's like all like exploring. Even when there is combat, it's like trying to avoid the combat. Like they actually know how to show the game off. Yeah. But then Konami just, you know, uses 3-year-old trailers and it's all like combat vignettes and like no one, like, come on. But this they did very well, I will say. Yeah,
for sure. They showed James walking into Silent Hill, a lot of exploration. Woodside got explored a little bit. So we got to see a few dialogue cutscenes and stuff too. It feels, based on the trailer that me and you watched, a slower paced, kind of accurate to the feel of Silent Hill 2 versus, like you said, everything we've seen has been dodge rolls and combat with bubblehead nurses. Yeah. So I'm definitely more excited. I don't know, was the Eddie cutscene released publicly? I know pictures of them were.
I think the one where... like the one where he's like, you can't just kill people. Yeah. Like that cutscene was public. I don't know if the one in them in the bathroom is public or vice versa. Like I think one of the one we saw wasn't, but all the Eddie cutscenes are like the exact same things happening. Yeah. So I can't really tell.
I like his remodel. Yeah. He looks good. I mean, he looks think so. More like I would assume Eddie would look.
I think they all look good. Yeah. I don't have any complaints for the new character designs. I know people didn't like. But interestingly, oh, go ahead.
Exactly where you're going. Yeah, we didn't see any Angela the entire.
No,
TGS.
We saw the graveyard.
In the 10-minute trailer.
Yeah.
Damn, why do I forget that? That's crazy.
I think we did because I remember seeing it. I think it's just like it's very short. Like, hey, do you know where Silent Hill 2 is? Or do you know where Silent Hill 2 is?
The sequel.
Do you know where Silent Hill is? And she's like, you don't want to go there. And then like it cuts to him in the town or something. I think we saw it. But yeah, go ahead. Your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, that was interesting to me that Angela was not very present. And it gave me the feeling potentially because of the backlash. I don't know. Maybe Bloober Team might not listen to the backlash.
It's too close to release.
Yeah.
There's no way they're doing anything. Because I think we've seen... Have you seen the newer stuff with Angela in it?
No, I don't think so.
You can tell it's this exact same model, but it looks better in the stuff they're showing. It's like when people that hate like Star Wars Outlaws will take like a really bad photo of Kay Vess, you know, where she looks like 300 pounds because the camera's like down here looking up at her face and be like, oh, they made the ugly women in the video games and then don't show like the other 30 cutscenes where she looks fine. Same thing with that. Where like, I think it was just the cutscene that people were memeing on just isn't a very good looking cutscene in terms of like how that happens in real life where there are certain times you look good and certain times you don't. I don't know if they're going to change. It's way too close to release. And I don't think enough people were angry about it.
That's true.
I think there were a lot of people that are like, I don't like it as much, but I don't think anyone, it's not like a Sonic, like someone on Twitter was like, they should do it like the Sonic movie people did. And
I mean, to be fair, that was a really cool instance of listening to the fan base.
But that's because every single person that watched it was like, this looks like garbage, dude. And all because she looks slightly different, I don't think makes it like the Sonic design was like, there's no one's gonna go see this movie. That was, you know. I don't think anyone's not buying the game over it.
If Angela stays the same, it's not gonna ruin the game for me or anything.
I think Mary looks really great though.
Agreed.
The cutscene they released, the story presentation, I think it was after the Silent Hill transmission. I think maybe it was a state of play or something. Yeah, I think it was the E3 state of play. It was the PlayStation trailer, and it was like the best looking game this year, cutscene wise. Yeah, the cutscenes look phenomenal.
I'm kind of super into what they did with Maria. Yeah. She looks killer. I like her a lot.
Everything they've shown, just like down to the facial mocap. I don't know if it's actual mocap or like animated like The Last of Us where they go in and do the faces after. Whatever they do, it looks like real life
so
much of the time. Even just the shot of James filming her with the camera, and there's a window, the way they diffuse the light to like how a poor quality VHS camera would pick it up looks so good. It's like the stuff that Hideo Kojima does in his games all the time. Like they obviously spent 300 hours on this thing that you look at for 2 seconds. Yeah. But like that would also be the thing that take you out of it when you notice it's wrong. Are seemingly the things that Bloober's paid attention on. I've said this before. I think Bloober Team was the right choice for Silent Hill 2 Remake, because they can never... All of their games have really, really poor choices in pre-production, but they always look good. And they Medium was okay, but they always run good. And they always have a vibe and aesthetic. Yeah. And that's all you need to update for Silent Hill 2. You know, you can keep the story the same. You can, you know, I think it's very hard to fuck up the voice acting for Silent Hill 2, even though they did fuck it up before. It's hard to do that again a second time. You can't fuck it up that bad again.
I feel like because the faces have changed, now if the voices or delivery changes, it makes more sense to me. This is almost a different person. Yeah. I look at it the same way I looked at Resident Evil 2 Remake. I actually kind of like the redesigns for Claire and Leon and Ada and everyone.
Carlos, man. Carlos from original 3 to new 3.
Glow up. And you know, at first I was like, God, his hair looks terrible. I got into it.
Okay. His hair looks bad like in a screenshot, but the hair in game with like the physics looks crazy good.
I talked about it in my video. I think they altered things because Jill's jawline was a little flatter in the stuff they put out, still screens and stuff. I think they probably improved the character designs after those initial screenshots.
See, that's what I feel a lot of people on Twitter and YouTube comments and Discord, like it's very hard for gamers, capital G gamers, to understand that games are in development when they show them off. Yeah. And especially like the Silent Hill 2 trailer we originally saw was supposedly like 2 years old at that point, 4 years old at this point.
And you can tell.
Ancient footage, and it looked bad. But that's because probably a quarter of the assets that we saw in that were actually finished assets.
And Bloober Team did say that was really rough footage that they were using, and there was better stuff available.
And so I think that happens a lot more than we usually give credit for.
Sure.
Where things are updated. And not even necessarily for any reason or another. They're just in progress and they get finished. But I think Silent Hill 2 is an example of a good glow up.
Yeah. Overall, I would say it looks good. A lot of people don't like James's the faces that he's making. They did change
James a lot from the original to now.
For sure.
I don't know if that's like a Sonic issue or people like, oh, he looks bad or whatever, but I think it does look better now.
I think he looks good. He looks like a real person for sure. But again, I'm looking at it as almost a different thing. And when it does line up with the original, that's great. Yeah. But I'm not going to expect it to very often, so I probably won't be disappointed.
Where do you fall on the, like, personally, it would be better to explain this question with my thought. Okay. Like, I would rather a remake of a game be actually a good game than be 1-to-1 with the original. Where do you sit on that scale?
Probably somewhere in the middle of those two dichotomies. There are going to be things that you're going to have to improve on. Yeah. When the RE2 remake was announced, I knew for sure it wasn't going to be fixed camera. Yeah. I knew 100% it wasn't going to be tank controls. I understand those things aren't modern amenities that people care about. So I get that you're going to have to make changes to update things to a more modern, I don't know, sensibility as far as gaming goes. So I go into that understanding it. But if in my imaginary world, I would rather a 1-to-1 remake spiritually. So I want things to be represented in a way that seems accurate to how they might have been represented if that tech was available in the day. But if they do make gameplay changes, for example, the knife parries in RE4, it was fun. It worked. It was great. I felt like it improved the gameplay of RE4. In situations like that, I'm not going to complain.
To me, I think it's also an age thing where like my favorite remake of a game ever, like by far, period, is Last of Us Part 1. Because The Last of Us PS3 to Last of Us Part 1 is without a doubt a better game.
Yes.
With updated visuals, because the whole point of the game is the visuals and the way the characters look and how real they feel and sound. But if The Last of Us was a PS1 game and you made it into a PS5 game, there's a lot more you're going to have to change to get it to feel like that.
Yeah.
Last of Us PS3 to Last of Us Part 1 is literally just the models look better. The animations are newer.
Because games still relatively play
They're
like
about
that.
the same, yeah. And so when you have something like even Metal Gear Solid 3, like that's almost on the cusp where like you can keep almost everything the same.
Yeah.
And as long as it looks better, it's a good remake. Silent Hill 2 is like right on the other end of the bell curve where like now you start needing to make changes to make this a good game today. And so, yeah, like you say, with the Resident Evil 2 remake, like, would it have been nice if it was camera? What the hell's it called?
Fixed camera.
Fixed camera.
Yeah.
Thank you. Would it have been nice? I'm sure the fans would have liked it. But if it was fixed camera, it's not going to be Capcom's maybe number one at this point, I think, best-selling game like of all time, or best in the Resident Evil series. It just wouldn't have happened. People aren't going to buy that.
Yeah.
And Silent Hill 2 looks to strike a balance. It has...
Yeah.
And actually, my biggest complaint of Silent Hill 2 when we talked about it was the combat. Like, it felt too good. The combat was too good for the game. Like, James could just snipe from 300 miles away, and he had perfect shooting. And it felt like like I compared it to Resident Evil 1 at the time, where like Resident Evil 1 is the kind of combat that I would expect a Silent Hill game to have, and vice versa.
Right.
Where you have a trained agent going into a mansion to kill these zombies versus some guy looking for his wife.
Yeah.
Felt wrong. And so the jank that we've seen from the combat, maybe not the animation mixing, but as someone who is sort of generally interested in game dev, animation mixing looks like the hardest possible thing anyone could ever get into. Bloober Team's a double A studio at best. I don't blame them for that, but just like the roughness that it has, I think is a good thing, because I don't want your first option to be kill the room of guys,
right?
You know. So I think so far everything has been a good upgrade, or a sensible upgrade, like you said.
Yeah, sensible.
I wish it was playable. It's like what?
And that was the weird thing, because it was playable at, was it Gamescom?
I'm not sure if it was a demo or if it was just journalists, but there were people at Gamescom that played it.
Yeah.
Period. So now a Tokyo Game Show where you're even closer to the release date.
That is one thing that does give me pause.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Now,
I'm not saying it means anything, but
it could be like, we didn't expect Stalker 2 to be there.
That's true.
This is a Polish studio from halfway across the world. Are they going to send a build out, a whole team of people to make sure it's working and troubleshoot the game when something goes wrong? I don't know. So it might be one of those things, but we don't have long to wait and see. We got 6 days for early access for Silent Hill 2. So I think we'll talk about that. We'll play it.
Yeah.
See how it goes. We got to figure out how we're playing it still, but yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. We'll get it. Yeah. Okay, on to our next topic of discussion here. Stalker 2.
Yeah.
This is a big surprise for me. I'm
for sure
kind of hyped for this one.
Yeah.
You're this Stalker guy. Tell me, lead us into this.
So Stalker 2 is a game that, despite both you and I playing the demo, I still maintain that it's vaporware and it's never coming out, because I have to maintain my credibility. But at a Japanese industry event, was not expecting Stalker 2 to be there at all. And I was talking to one of the guys at the booth, and he said, actually, he's been really surprised at the amount of Japanese people coming in and saying, I love Stalker so much.
Really?
It's so cool.
That's not like, that's one of like that doesn't make sense for the Japanese audience to like Stalker of all things.
Yeah, it's weird that Americans get into it, let alone Japanese people, for sure. But it was there. It was a pretty small booth, but like we were talking about, this is Japan.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was proportionally correct.
There were still 4 demo machines there.
Yeah.
And it was a 30-minute demo.
Yeah.
So like I can't complain. You get a lot of time with the game, even if it doesn't have a big Goku out front. That's all I need.
Yeah, for sure. But after playing it, I'll say that it was a very directed, hand-holdy kind of linear demo. It is a very open world game. So I can't necessarily judge it in terms of that kind of gameplay. Yeah. But as far as checking your inventory, looting corpses, changing fire modes on your gun, just the shooting mechanics in general. They had a bloodsucker in the demo, which is great. It seems to sort of hit all the check boxes you would expect for Stalker. You're searching for artifacts. I believe there was mention of like an artifact container or something, which is something that's included in the mods of Stalker. But either way, it's checking all the boxes for me. I do need to get outside of that tutorial section to get a good feel for it, but very promising. I think
as a TGS demo, like you can't just set someone down and be like, here are 20 quests, you can go kind of do whatever. Like maybe it'll work, but to do that kind of thing, you need like hours.
So in context, it makes a lot of sense that they would make this tutorial the way that it is, because one of the biggest complaints of Stalker is nobody knows how to do anything in that game.
Yeah, I have tried to play Stalker. Yeah. Okay. I get why people like it. I love DayZ. I love Arma. I love realistic shooter games.
Right.
I love inventory management.
Yeah.
I love all the things. I love role playing in games. I don't really love quests, but I like that. Like, go to someone, they're like, here's what I need. Yeah. Go do it. Like, I love all of that.
Right.
I've tried to play Stalker. I guarantee you I will probably never play Stalker 1 through 3.
Yeah.
It's
easy to get filtered. The thing is, it sort of counts on generational knowledge. Because when I first played Stalker, I didn't know how to do anything. So I'm in forums, and there are people who are huge into this game. They're like, okay, you have to go here to do this. There's a lot of times where you're not told certain keyboard shortcuts. You have to go into the options, into the control mapping to see that you could change fire modes, because that's not ever displayed anywhere. So there's a lot about Stalker that was never told to anybody. There's functionality built into all 3 games, but they don't ever come out and tell you that it exists. So I think this tutorial is a good way to get modern gamers into it. Those of us who have played these games for years and years, they seem to have hit all the boxes that I would want. Yeah. So, the keyboard controls felt pretty accurate. Leaning wasn't done with Q and E. That freaked me out.
I think it was C and V or X and C or something. It was like on the bottom of the keyboard.
Which is weird because, and this is a weird thing, with Stalker, you run with, it's either Z or X. I think it's Z instead of Shift. So
it was Shift in the demo, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
like it felt normal.
So that freaked me out.
The only thing that was weird to me was the peeking left and right, because I kept hitting Q and E to look, because I knew you can do it in Stalker, and it opened like the radial menu or something. I was like, I don't know about that.
And that's another thing. You're playing Stalker, you have no idea that you can lean around corners and stuff like that. It's never said. So it's good that the tutorial tells you that to a degree. A lot of us who are going to play this game already knew that. But, they got to make money. Yeah. And Stalker fans aren't going to pay GSC Game World's bills. Yeah. Especially on how much they've spent on this so far.
And I think it's kind of proportional to like Metal Gear Solid 3 too, where like nothing in that game was explained.
Yeah.
I still got what I wanted out of the game, but the controls didn't make it necessarily a worse game, but having good controls will make it a better game.
Yeah. Agreed.
And Stalker felt the same way. We're like, this is something I would never. I've tried to touch with a 10-foot pole, but can't. It feels too like alien almost. Like
it's not something that you could easily jump into today. You have to learn from other people how to play the game, essentially.
It's like you go to a park and everyone's like, yo, come check out, we're having fun, and then all they're doing is slamming their head into a brick wall, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I don't want to slam my head into a brick wall, you know. I just want to like have fun. This is like a much more, okay, here's how you slam your head into the brick wall to have fun. And so you're still slamming your head into a brick wall, but now someone's guiding you on how to slam your head into the brick wall.
And it is like a story. There's like story events taking place in it as well. It doesn't feel like a video game tutorial as much as it does an introduction to the mechanics, using the story as a framing device.
And that's something I hope they continue for the main story. Like one of the things I do understand why people like the unguidedness, whatever. That aspect of the original games. But for me, who's someone who's a writing and narrative nerd, there is definitely writing that goes into that kind of quests, but I don't want to work to experience. Like, I want there to be a part of the game that is catered. You know, I want there to be at least part of the game. That's my issue with like FromSoft games. Like there is not. I love the open world, or not even open world, just the vagueness of things and exploring for yourself. But I need something to get me from point A in the beginning to point B at the end.
Sure.
Whatever I do in between, you know, I can explore, discover, whatever. But if you just drop me a point A, I'm not going to want to get to point B. And so I'm never going to get to point B. This feels like it again, we didn't get any of the open world. So maybe in half an hour you finish the story bit, and then it plops you down. It's like, okay, do whatever you want.
I hope so.
But from what I've seen from the story, or not the story, but like the cutscenes and the trailers, it kind of looks like there's going to be a main story where you can follow that'll have cutscenes, it'll have characters. And then if you want to go out and just explore, do the Stalker thing, that's an option for you.
So based on what I heard from the guy at the booth, he said that is the case. That because I told him I was worried. There's actually cutscenes, and even in Call of Pripyat, there's like 4 cutscenes in the entire game where it's not just your character's perspective only. But I was worried that it was just going to be story based and linear. And he's like, "Don't worry, it opens up, I promise." And you know, all the places you would expect to be able to visit across the trilogy are here. But because it's been so long, they're going to be a little different, which is great.
So that was a question I had for you that you asked about. It was like where you know, if the old games are set in their real life equivalent.
I think it's like 2006 or something where the old games.
So like somewhere. If they're on their date where that game is set, this game is now 20 years ish after the original. Is it 20 years after where the original games were set?
Roundabout,
and so you're going to have a lot of, you can make interesting things happen in those 20 years.
For sure. Especially in the zone. The zone's a place where things don't stay static very much. Like anomaly fields move around. Every time there's an emission, it changes like a massive landscape into something completely different. So you have a lot of narrative wiggle room to make changes, and it still feels like Stalker.
And so I think that also kind of leads to, if you're worried about the new Stalker or whatever, I think there is a certain aspect of it where it's going to bring people to those old games. Like after playing Stalker 2, I am now more interested in playing the older games.
I came home and captured footage of the console versions.
Yeah, I am more interested in the old Stalker games because I've played an updated version. So I think there is room for it to be different. But I don't have any reason to be. Again, I'm not a Stalker fan, so I don't have any dogs in the park. What's the saying?
That is not it.
I don't have any. I
don't have a dog in this fight.
No chickens in the race.
In the park on this one.
Whatever. I don't have any sort of emotional attachment or any attachment to these games, but I might after Stalker 2. And that's what I hope happens. So
it makes sense that because Stalker is a filter.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get past. I think for me, it was just the setting. I wanted to be there. Mm-hmm. So when I would play these games and come up against a brick wall or a glitch that would kill me out of nowhere or make a mission unfinishable, like game-breaking bugs, which were in the original release, it didn't even bother me. I just wanted to be in that world.
Yeah.
And even in Stalker Call of Pripyat, which is the third one, when you beat the game, it gives you an option just to stay in the zone. Mm-hmm. And you could play it infinitely, essentially. You just keep finding artifacts, selling them to scientists, buying ammo, running into packs of mutants or bandits. And you can play the game forever. Hopefully, that's what it's like in part 2, which I maintain will never come out. But if it ever does, I am really excited. I think that there are going to be a few, what's the word? There's going to be a few things lost in the updating of it, the modernness of it. I don't think it's going to be as big of a world. It feels like there's no way with how good it looks. Didn't they say it's
like bigger? Like, doesn't it?
I don't know, but they say that about like Skyrim, but all the dungeons were like copy paste jobs and stuff. I don't know. This is not based on any real knowledge. Again, I don't care, you know, but if I'm sitting at it and I'm looking at these old games, I'm hoping it's at least the size of like that mod that puts the 3 together. That's what I'm hoping like that kind of world. Yeah. I mean,
because you don't need bigger than that.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of just too big. Like it's the Skyrim thing where like this world doesn't. My favorite open world is Deus Ex Mankind Divided. That's like 10 city blocks.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite open world because there's just so much to do. There's a certain point where it's just too big.
And Stalker definitely erred more on the side of content over size. So they're smaller open world sections.
Yeah.
And there's so much to do in all of them that it doesn't feel like a Grand Theft Auto game where you're driving for 15 minutes to get to a mission and there's nothing in between the two.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping that comes over in the second game, which will not come out, but I am excited.
So overall temperature check, pretty good. You're excited?
Pretty good. I was excited before.
Okay.
Actually getting to play it now and see it run at a lock 60.
Actually, we should talk about that because all the footage Xbox has put out on their channels looks pretty rough.
You can see some frame drops.
Xbox published stuff. Like they have a good ass marketing team.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have a rule where like you have to, it has to be playing on an Xbox for it to be an Xbox trailer.
Yeah.
And it could be, I mentioned in like my tweet about this, that maybe we're playing on 4090s with overclocked, water-cooled CPUs. I don't know. They wouldn't let us open the little thing and look at it. So maybe it'll run like ass when it comes out. And we just had such a good PC that it didn't matter. But rarely does a game that runs poorly on bad systems run good on really, really good systems. It's usually an issue that runs deeper than that. And if it runs bad on Xbox, that sucks, but I think this should be a PC first game anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
So from what we could tell, runs good.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Looks great.
I'm excited.
Me too.
It made me excited for a Stalker game.
Which is, that's cool.
And like, again, I had like a little bit of interest in like, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah.
But now I want to buy it. I want to play it.
I think for sure we're going to get some people going back and trying the trilogy afterwards. It is not very user friendly, but neither is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. And
if you play Stalker 2, that gives you a reason to force yourself past those issues.
And you'll be told about a lot of stuff that takes place in the other 3 games. So you'll come in with that generational knowledge base for sure.
All right. Last game on our list here, Death Stranding 2. So this was not, there was no Death. I mean, I guess there was the live stage demonstration the day that we weren't there. But on the press day, there was really no Death Stranding 2 anywhere.
No.
I thought that was a little surprising. They didn't have even a booth or anything. They did have a merch store.
Yeah. But that was
really
just Kojima
fucking
in general.
nice merch store.
Yeah,
though.
it's very Kojima-esque.
Yeah, like very expensive light box lighting on these very expensive pieces of I don't even want to call them merchandise, art that you can buy and take home, like a $250 Hideo Kojima jacket, or a what was it, $3,000 watch, but I almost bought it because it comes with the case with the Death Stranding like do not tamper.
It looks cool
box
as hell.
It looks so fucking good. Yeah. It's like real life size as the small boxes in game.
Yeah.
And so it's like that big. And oh man, I just wanted to buy the box. I don't give a shit about the watch. Sell me the box for $250. I'll buy it. But yeah, a really nice merch store. No booth or presence.
No standee. No trailers running. It was weird, honestly.
But I think in the end it balances out because they had this live on stage like showcase, I guess, where they had a bunch of people, devs and people involved in the game come out and talk about it. I didn't watch the whole thing because I watched the live stream and it was all in Japanese. Yeah. So my Japanese is like arigato gozaimasu. That's everything I know.
There you go.
So I kind of just watched it for the trailers. You haven't seen it yet, but I think it looks like, I don't know. You can't convince me more on Death Stranding 2. You know, the first trailer is weird as hell. The rest of the trailers are weird as hell, equally weird.
Yes. And
that's what I want.
Yeah.
There's this weird thing. So that one of the characters is pregnant in the trailer, and anytime someone like touches the baby bump, it like jingles. There's like a jewelry jingle. And then they all start singing, Norman Reedus included, and the puppet and everyone. There's this like 30 seconds of them singing, and then when they're on the ship, they have to like bathe in Corellium, so they're like grayscale on the ship, and there's like a cat that looks like a BT. And their ship drives under the earth, like it doesn't fly, it like goes into the tar.
Yeah.
And what else? One thing that's actually cool, that's not just weird to be weird. Natural disasters. It looks like.
Yes,
like there was flooding in one of the trailers. It looks so good.
Perfect for the gameplay.
I hope there's more than just that.
Yeah. Like, I hope they're not scripted. I hope they're randomized.
Yeah. I want like tornadoes and tsunamis and earthquakes, whatever.
Yeah.
Because that was actually one of my few complaints of Death Stranding 1 was that like you kind of set everything up, and then at a certain point in the game, it's almost too easy. You know, once you get the trike, once you get the bridges, once you get the zip lines, especially, that's all you use, and then it's no longer. Like people always call it a walking sim, but actually, unironically, I probably walked for 3 hours in Death Stranding, and then the rest of the game I used the trike and the zip lines. So I want more of the game to be that walking balance game. And so if you have these natural disasters come in, wipe out sectors of the map for a little bit, and hey, you got to go through the storm to get there. You can't ride a trike or anything. That ups the stakes. I'm immediately in for that.
Yeah, for sure. I would say more story if I had a request.
Story?
I want there to
You
be...
haven't finished the game.
No, I haven't.
Dude.
I need more explanation.
My God. Actually, unironically, there was probably 8 hours of cutscenes and character codec and dialogue to finish that game. And none of it is skippable.
Yeah.
There is a point in the end of the game, slight spoilers, where you are stuck on a beach and you have to walk really, really far off the edge of the beach to trigger a cutscene. So you have to walk. You spawn, you walk like for 5 minutes, and then it kicks you back and you respawn back in the spot where you started. And then you have to get up and walk, and you got to walk way across the beach until it kicks you back. And then you get an unskippable, like dreamlike exposition. And then you do it again. and you walk the whole way out, and then teleports you back, and then you walk the whole way out, and that happens 4 times.
You're not.
It's like half an hour long of just walking. Just show it to me in a cutscene, Kojima. I love how you write things, but let me get to your writing.
Everybody got so mad at him with 4. They're like, "Oh, there's too many cutscenes."
4 is great though.
It's great.
A cutscene is fine.
Yeah.
If Kojima wants to put 8 hours of cutscenes, I will sit there and watch it like a movie.
Yeah.
I do not want to walk to a point on the beach, away and back and back and back and forth with nothing happening. And dude, Norman Reedus, he takes 20 seconds to sit down. He's like, and then he kind of fumbles around a little bit, and then he falls over and puts his hand on the ground, and then he slowly sits back, let me skip it, let me do something. Oh my God. I was so into Death Stranding. I'm still into Death Stranding. I love that game.
But
I love up until the final act. Up until the big boss fight with Troy Baker. After that, there's no antagonist anymore. I don't care. And man, oh my God, this is going to turn into a Death Stranding rant.
That's what it sounds like.
But there's so much of the back third or back fifth or whatever of the game is about Amelie. I don't give a shit about Amelie. Nothing happens in the game that makes me care about her or what's going on with her. And Norman Reedus is a non-character in Death Stranding. So even though I care for him, I care more about his attachment with BB than I care about him exactly.
That makes sense.
And dude, I swear to God, every single cutscene is about their relationship that you don't know about and have never heard of and have no experience with. And it's like, oh no, this happened. Don't you feel bad, Sam? And then Sam's,
well, that's the thing. He only has 8 lines of dialogue throughout the whole game.
Man,
yeah, I guess.
It's I love Kojima's writing. I love Metal Gear Solid 2. But I love Metal Gear Solid 2's scripted cutscenes and codec calls where I can play it like a movie.
I agree.
Death Stranding 1, man. I don't know, Kojima. Well, we were talking about this before the show. He needs a wrangler. I think that's where his best work has been done.
Yeah.
When he's wrangled.
Yeah.
I would really have liked to see a Metal Gear Solid 5 if Kojima could actually do whatever he wanted and had the time and had the space. But even with them shutting him down, getting him out of the office, it's already a 60-hour game. And none of it is actually necessary for what they're trying to say or do.
No.
And I love Metal Gear Solid 5. Great gameplay, great story. Doesn't need to be 60 hours, man.
No.
Same thing happened in Death Stranding. That's the only worry I have with Death Stranding 2 is that he's not going to learn hey, I got to keep it not condensed even, just no. Sometimes Kojima has a vision and he doesn't communicate that vision at all. He just has the vision.
Yeah.
And then he puts it in the game. And you don't know why it's there, but you are required to assume his vision to finish the game.
So here's the question.
Yeah.
Do you think Death Stranding made its money back in sales?
In sales?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I don't think there's any way.
Potentially with the second game, Sony says, all right, we're bringing in a guy to kind of watch the project.
I don't think that's going to happen because I think Sony knew they were going to lose money. I don't know if it lost money or not. I actually have no stats, but my gut feeling would be that it didn't too. or broke even, but wasn't hugely profitable. There's no chance it was a big hit. But I think that's what PlayStation wanted. They just want him, you know, they want to be able to say, this is the console that Hideo Kojima is making his new games on. That's why they have announced Fizzant last year.
Yeah.
Death Stranding 2 coming out next year, then OD, that's 4 years. Easy, 5 years. And then you go into Fizzant development, 4 years, 5 years. This isn't a game, we're going to see this game in 15 years, dude. Kojima's this is going to be my last game. He's he's old. He's not that old. No. Okay. He's going to be 70 for his last game. That is when we will see Fizzant. When he is 70, that is when this game will come out. And there was no reason to announce that other than to be if you want Kojima's return to tactical espionage action, got to get it on a PlayStation.
That makes sense. So eating the cost of the software development on the hardware sales.
Well, no, because hardware doesn't sell. You're eating the software cost on the other software you're going to buy.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Like,
once they have the console.
Yeah. So, even I'm actually a good example of this. Like, Death Stranding, I bought on PC originally when it came out. But I wanted to play the director's cut when it, or I guess last week, when I was getting ready for TGS. And so I bought it on PlayStation, and when I bought it on PlayStation, I was on the store and I was like, holy shit, Hitman, Absolution, and Blood Money are on sale. I'm gonna add that to my cart, and I bought both together. That made them all their money back right there, you know? So yeah, I don't think it's a profit pool from that. I think it's a loss leader, you know, just like the consoles are.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad route either.
No.
It's just what you got to do. I would rather them do that than not do it.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Any thoughts on Death Stranding 2? Anything you excited for that one?
Do you know, I am, but like I said, I want more explanation. Haven't finished the first game, which is a problem with me and Kojima's
I don't know if
recent
I don't know if
stuff.
it's a problem with you. I think that's just like
Yeah.
there is a good third of that game where all you're doing is delivering.
Yeah.
But I love the gameplay of delivering.
But that's the problem is the first game is fun. Me and Josine sit right here on this couch and play it fairly often, but we'll play it at night when she's off of school. I'm done with doing work. It's such a soothing game. I need to play that at like 8 a.m. when I'm starting my day, because otherwise we're both just falling asleep. Not because the game's boring, because it's
soothing.
It's supposed to kind of be that way. So like that's most of what I run into with the first game. I look forward to that same thing. I just need to alter my life around the game so that it works better.
Yeah. Alter your life for Hideo Kojima, and you will reap the benefits of Hideo Kojima.
That's what he would want.
That is what he would want. I was playing it. I finished the game on my phone with a Backbone controller.
Oh my gosh.
Streaming it in the airport on my home console while my fiance was watching the TV at home of my gameplay.
Yeah.
Like she could turn the TV on and it would just be there on the screen.
That's so wild.
Like that's exactly what Hideo Kojima would want, man. He was like that is the way to play Death Stranding right there. I cracked
And
it.
the lag wasn't terrible?
It was actually incredibly playable.
Wow.
I wouldn't play, obviously I wouldn't play like Rainbow Six or anything, but the gameplay of Death Stranding is not one conducive or required of instant delay, but like I couldn't really feel it either. So I don't know, maybe I might fire it up or something and see. Now again, that was airport Wi-Fi, so pretty damn fast Wi-Fi. I don't, maybe if I try it at my hotel, it's not going to be as good. I have pretty bad Wi-Fi there, but I'm like, if I played it here, it'd probably work.
We have a fiber optic connection, maybe.
But yeah, Death Stranding 2, I'm excited. What'd you get merch-wise? Big merch store, what'd you get?
So Josine bought the trike thing, which was reasonably priced, and it looks really cool. I don't know. What else did I get? I got a little Sega Saturn belt clip for my chain wallet.
I got the little astronaut.
Yeah.
That's on Lou's little, or BB's little
case
container.
Yeah. But you were going to get the BB.
I was,
which was reasonably priced.
It was actually, it was like under $100.
Yeah.
But it was really big, and they didn't have like a shipping to home service or anything like Disney has that a lot. It would have either broken, or I would have needed to gotten rid of other stuff to take that home. Yeah. So I didn't end up getting it. But,
I get that.
Yeah. Maybe if they sell it on like their official website, I might buy it one day or something. But Death Stranding 2 looking pretty good. The last kind of, not like, we have a couple more topics that are just general TGS, but like this is the last thing that we saw. Not a game whatsoever. The Zeo couch. What would you call it? Chair.
Isolation
gaming ecosystem.
Yeah. There you go.
We saw, this thing looks crazy. It looks so cool. cool.
It's very comfy too.
It is this pod. It is this.
It's like an octagon or a polygon.
It's a habitat. That you sit in. It has on their website. They're like it has 9.7.2 surround sound or something. Like they're like
cool.
like 14 speakers in this thing. Oh my god! Before the show, we were looking it up to make sure we got the name right. And they're like, oh yeah, the knob, there's a little knob in the inside, like OLED screen turning knob. Yeah. Like you can change the lighting, the sound volume. You can change the airflow of the seat. You can add vibration. This thing's crazy. We both immediately looked at it like, holy shit, we need one of those.
Yeah.
It's not out yet. No official pricing, but there was a YouTube video that was like, this is going to be $10,000. That's a hard price.
That's a tough sell.
That is a tough sell. If we split it 3 ways,
that's still, I mean,
$3,500.
Yeah.
For your PC. How much is your PC? Huh? And you're not playing it in the best possible way. That's
true.
A waste of money. You're wasting your money by having that PC and not playing it the right way.
It would basically have to go where you're sitting right now for it to work.
You know, actually though, we talked about this. Like, it looks really cool. If you had an arm on each side, one for a webcam, one for a microphone, that's like a sick streaming setup. It looks so futuristic.
Yeah.
I was like, you need 5 of these for an esports team. It would look so cool.
You'd have to dress cyberpunk as hell while you're streaming or something. That would be your gimmick.
Man, I really want one. Zio, please let us get it. Give us. Yeah. Okay. Actually, no, that's better than one. Reach out to him.
Yeah.
Give him one for free.
Who else is on the internet right now talking about this product?
Probably other people.
No way.
No way?
I've never heard of this company or the idea.
Well, that's because it's not out
concept.
yet.
Exactly.
They were at CES and they were here.
Preview model.
Okay, fair enough. But if you are listening, Zio, make a cheaper option without the airflow and the vibration.
The vibration was pretty cool.
I don't care, whatever. Just give me an option. The comfortable seat with the speakers. That's what I want. Because good speakers are hard to set up in a room.
Yeah.
But if I can buy $4,000 chair that has, $2,000 speaker setup, I'm willing to pay the premium for the chair and the speakers together.
It looks really cool.
Sick. It looks so cool.
It's clean as hell,
man.
And like I bet because there's cushioning surrounding the entire thing. I bet it's like sound dampening material as well, so the echo doesn't bounce. It felt really cool sitting inside of it, and they had the Astrobot playing on it
with the vibration.
Yeah, the vibration was awesome. So he'll probably show a picture.
Yeah,
but that picture was taken right as a guy was telling me, "Hey, we're closing the booth down. You can't sit in anymore."
Man.
Otherwise, I would have sat with that thing for a bit.
I hope they're if it's not released by next TGS, I hope they're there, so that we can try it out again.
That would be really dope.
Because again, $10,000. If it is actually $10,000, that's a hard.
I would say, I would pay like upwards of $3,000, between $3,000 and $4,000. I think
I would say $5,000.
Yeah, because
you have to remember this is not the price of just the components that go into it.
You're paying for
think of how big that thing is.
Yeah,
that's not coming in pieces. Yeah, that's not coming in pieces. That is getting specialty delivered to your house.
Yeah,
I would pay $5,000. I would pay $6,000.
Especially because they're probably not going to sell a shit ton of those.
And so I understand that. So but like again, even my PC at home is like probably $3,000 easy with components.
He spend as much on experiencing that PC.
Exactly. I think maybe I could sell it to myself if I like get an apartment. Yeah. And I haven't bought anything for the apartment yet. I just have my PC and my TV. That. I'm like, okay, I have a game room. I could spend a couple grand to kit out the room, or
couches,
or the room
entertainment unit,
or the room comes to me.
Yeah.
And I buy that. That could sell me on it. I don't think we're the target audience. But man,
God, it looks so cool.
Okay. Before we make some terrible financial decisions, this sounds like a really good sponsor segue.
Yeah.
Like now we're going to talk about our
Stamps.com.
sponsored Stamps.com.
It's a big podcast sponsor.
Really?
Everybody.
I
has
listen to
Stamps.
a lot of podcasts. I have never heard of Stamps.com. What podcasts are you like? Dave Ramsey? What do you?
Bill Burr, his podcast,
Okay. Yeah, okay,
Stamps.com. I think they used to be on like something ridiculous, like Joe Rogan or something like that. I swear.
Okay. I listen to good podcasts. Something Rotten. Great podcast. Subscribe at nebula.com/ something rotten. I don't know. Whatever. Look it up on Google. Great podcast. Blake Hester, Jacob Geller. Wonderful work. Yeah, I listen to good podcasts.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't listen to shit like RevueLog by Cross Circle Squared.
No, of course
the
not.
horrible people. Whatever. Let's talk about the food at the venue.
Yeah.
Okay. I've gone to a couple conventions. You have as well. Food is never a high point.
No, never.
I wouldn't say it was a high point here either, but we want to talk about it because it was just like, pretty good.
Good food. Yeah.
It was good. You know?
Had you have gotten what me and Josine got to, I think your opinion might
It'd be better.
different.
Yeah.
It's very good food.
So I got, what did I get? Like
a shoyu
tonkatsu, shoyu ramen.
Yeah.
It was very good. Noodles. The noodles were my only complaint. I don't have any photos for this, so I can't even show them. But, maybe I do. I don't know.
Josine might have taken some. She can give you some for the post production.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I got no complaints. The ice cream though was like that was my first experience with Japanese ice cream, and I gotta say, every sweet thing I've had in Japan, they're not great at sweet things. I don't think. Like overall, like I had Mr. Donut the other day.
Yeah. Didn't like it?
People online were like, "You're just gonna change how you look at donuts." No, I come from East.
Shit.
I come from Western Pennsylvania. We got the fucking donuts. Home of Krispy Kreme, home of Sheetz. Both of these places make world-class donuts. I'm covered. Okay. Donuts, no issue in Western PA. I got to bring you to a Sheetz. You ever been to Sheetz?
Never heard of it.
Dude, dog. The donuts and the gobs. You ever hear of a gob?
No.
What?
Sounds like you're making it
No!
up.
There's no way you never heard of a gob. It is
gob.
so good. Let me pull this up.
Is that like an acronym for something or?
No. So it's just like this.
Good old boy. Yo, what the fuck is this? It's like an Oreo, but the size of a sandwich. They have a glass of milk for scale here, and it's gigantic.
That's actually a good representation of it because it's like these two chocolate cakes. Usually, you can get other flavors: vanilla, peanut butter. Two chocolate cakes and
good.
icing in the middle. It is a delicacy.
Oh,
it is
sweets.
Sweet because Sheetz is the name, so they add SCH to everything, SCHW to everything.
That makes me mad.
They're like
It
you're
looks good, though.
You're swinging it today, you know.
I guess
The sweet deal.
Is that a Pittsburgh thing or?
Shwee?
Yeah.
No, Sheetz is though.
Sheetz, yeah, that's what I'm
Sheetz
saying.
is a Pennsylvania, like Ohio area, West Virginia kind of thing. People are always like Wawa or Sheetz. I went to Wawa a couple times. Not even comparable. Not even on the same. They're not even the same thing. It's like you're comparing an apple to a spaceship. Okay, nothing. No, they shouldn't be in the same argument, the same sentence. Sheetz, okay, really unhealthy, but really good tasting food. The most incredible donut. They just recreated their donuts. Were already the best donuts I've ever had. Last year they like redid their donut. Okay, it's like a new ingredients, new recipe.
Yeah.
It's even fucking better, dude. It's so good. And then they got these gobs. Oh my god, the gobs.
Let me ask you a question. Yeah. How does this tie into Japanese?
Well, we were talking about food.
Okay.
So that this is where I'm coming in from. Okay,
right.
Back home,
very high standards.
500 out of 10.
Right.
Okay, and I'm self-aware enough to know it's a 500 out of 10.
Yeah.
So I'm walking in. I'm not expecting much, and I would say on average, I received not much on the scale, but there is a certain quality of Japanese sweets that is very edible.
Yeah.
You know, like We went to this place. I had a milkshake, Nutella milkshake. We have a place back home called Burgatory. One of their things they do is like burger and shakes.
Yeah.
I love their Nutella milkshake. I think their Nutella milkshake is better. Like it tastes more like Nutella. But you take 3 sips of that thing and you're done. You know, you feel sick. You feel like you're gonna throw up. It might be one of the greatest things you've ever tasted, but it is just so overwhelming.
Yeah.
I drank that whole Nutella shake here in like a second.
Yeah.
It didn't taste as good on a scale, but like it was drinkable. Same with the ice cream. I'm not a huge ice cream person, but I do like soft serve ice cream. And even just like normal soft serve in America, I always order a small. Yeah. Because that is all my favorite part's the cone anyway.
Weird.
So, yeah, I love the cone and the ice cream together.
Okay.
You know, right. I like the taste of that. Like the last bite on the bottom, where it's melted ice cream and cone. That's my favorite.
Right.
Yeah. So, and usually when you get like a large, the cone's not that much bigger. It's just wider in the center for more ice cream, and then there's more on top. So I always get a small. Yeah. Here I would get a large. Yeah. It's like actually edible. The whole thing, I don't get sick and tired of it. It doesn't taste as good, like objectively, but the experience, I think,
Japanese sweets tend to be very, I don't want to say natural tasting, but they're kind of sweetened more naturally.
Yeah. One complaint, a little
more subtle.
Yeah. One complaint I do have that goes along those lines is like everything here is whipped cream. Yes. There's no icing.
No icing.
You know, never any icing.
Is whipped cream or custard are the two things inside of everything here.
I'm not a fan of whipped cream. Just in general, I'm not a fan of whipped cream.
You're a weird
guy.
Why
am I so weird? Whatever. Either way, like I had a whipped cream.
I could eat whipped cream by itself.
It looked like a gob. I'm going to be honest. It looked like a gob. It was these 2 chocolate things and whipped cream. I was expecting sheets. And I got 5th grade birthday party, you know?
Jesus Christ.
But I can't complain. It was pretty good. Yeah. And the food was actually good. Like we have a place at my college campus called Umami. They make ramen, sushi, that kind of thing. It's like equal quality. Yeah. And that's not saying much, but like this is a convention. Exactly. I'm expecting like Universal Studios, like amusement park food. Yeah. And it was like, someone looked at this menu and had a sense of what food is and created the menu. So I'm a fan.
Yeah, hell yeah. The fact that you're at a convention, I ordered tantan men, which is like ramen. It's Chinese style ramen with spicy chili oil. Very good. They had full green onions in it. They tasted fresh. The noodles certainly were potentially overcooked, maybe.
Yeah, they had a chewy quality to them, but I couldn't tell if that was overcooked or undercooked. But it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't in the middle.
Wasn't in the middle for sure. But just the fact that it's convention food and it was so edible,
and I can understand the weird consistency of the noodles because they're probably making like 500 people's worth of noodles. So I can get behind that
for sure.
Yeah, pretty
food
good.
Was good.
Okay. Let's talk about indie games. This is a sore spot for us. We spent all day trying to get into Metal Gear Delta and watch the Silent Hill 2 trailer and play Stalker 2. We didn't get to see many indie games.
Well, we saw a lot. We didn't experience a lot.
We perused the aisles. There were a lot of indie games here.
A lot.
Many. And I like that. That's good. There was basically, there was the main stage floor, which is actually 2 buildings. Yeah. It was like 8 halls, technically. It was one main stage, I would say.
Like airplane hangar, 2 of them together.
And then, across the street, they had the merch and the indies. And that was pretty much everything that was there.
It was a pretty big spread for indies, too.
It was pretty big. And I liked that it was its own thing because it was much lower scale, quieter. It was people buying things, people looking at indies. Yeah. And I think that works for indie developers, too. It's not good. If you're right next to your booth, you have a loud ass Konami booth with the Silent Hill 2 trailer song playing. Like, you got a lot to fight up against. Yeah, but in that space, your attention is on the games. We just didn't experience them as much as we might have liked to.
Here's the problem. There were a lot of Japanese indie games, and there are a lot of visual novels, a lot of adventure games that look amazing. But, you're going to be sitting there clicking the, skip dialogue button the entire time, because it is all in Japanese. There were a few platformers and a Metroidvania looking thing, but for the most part, it was just a visual treat, seeing the pixel art and seeing what people were doing. There were a few indie titles that potentially should have spent a little more time in development. They were slowing down and stuff.
Yeah. Two indie devs out there, if you are listening, I know it's very hard to optimize a video game. Yeah. I'm not saying it's easy.
No.
But if you're going to a show, either don't go that year, wait another year.
It should be ready for the big time.
If you have like, hey, I can only take a year off work or whatever, and this game has to release then, I can maybe understand that. But also, if that is your case, just take the extra year of work and just work on it for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Just take the time it needs, because you're going to have one chance to get people to have eyes on your game. And as soon as we see it and we don't like it, it's gone.
Yeah.
We are never looking at it again.
But on the other side of that, if we see it and there's nothing immediately off, like there was a game that I played that I won't say its name, but in the demo, I was experiencing very choppy gameplay, points where enemies would load in and the game would lock up for a quick second. I'm probably never going to look that game up ever again. But if that stuff wasn't going on, I would have taken that guy's card, kept up on it on Twitter.
Made a video maybe about it.
Potentially,
on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because last year, it was 2 years ago, there's a really cool game, and I ended up keeping up on it. Now I'm making a video on it now. With these indie games, they're not very expensive, and it's very easy for me to build up a nice backlog of indie games to play.
And you don't need to make a 2-hour video on it. You can do 20 minutes
for sure
in your style. That's it's justified.
But if the first time I see it, it's not being presented very well, you run the risk of me not being interested, or regular people not being interested on the public days.
And I know how difficult making games is, but like, just
if you are going to show
it's hard to give blanket advice. It's like, just wait, just take more time or whatever. But that is your chance to get people to look at it.
It is.
Please, please, please. I don't care if you don't have things to give out or, really nice banner. Like there were some really nice art, like key art banners and everything.
For sure.
I don't care. Let your game speak for itself. Maybe on the public day, it's not going to get as many people, but as pseudo press, what did our thing say? Influencers or whatever. Like, as people looking at games, trying to evaluate them on an artistic or gameplay level, the game is going to speak so much louder than any of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Silent Hill 2, for example, had the bubblehead nurses out front, the cosplayers.
Yeah.
That's sick. But it's not going to matter if I go in and the trailer looks like ass.
Yeah.
Just spend some more time, wait a year.
Maybe invest in your game to the point where you can bring a gaming laptop that even if your game isn't perfectly optimized, there's enough overhead in performance where it doesn't matter.
Just try to make it the best you can. And I'm not saying those developers aren't trying to make the best they can, but when you're taking it to an event, you're going to have infinitely more eyes on it than you ever did working on it at home. Maybe get someone like, I don't know, contact a YouTuber you like and be like, hey, like, don't have to review this, but just like look at it. Tell me if it's what you look for as a YouTuber. And if you email enough of them, someone's going to respond.
I get a lot of those.
And they're going to be like, hey, this is why I wouldn't review your game. That's actually something I never see people talk about. It's like the advice is always pitch your game to these people to review them or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think my hypothesis is that if you go to a YouTuber and you're like, hey, I'm not looking for you to play and review I'm not looking for publicity. I just want your thoughts as someone who does that, what you would evaluate this kind of game on. And I think more people, because that takes 30 seconds to email them back compared to going on Steam, getting a code, downloading it, whatever, playing through it, making footage. It's so much more work. But just like, hey, just, glance at this.
Coming from the opposite end of that, though, man, I feel terrible. People will message me. It's like, man, I can't wait for you to try this. It's going to be right up your alley. I know you love survival horror.
Yeah.
And then it's like a first person like single screen adventure game. And it's like, I don't want to be mean to them and be like, well, here's why this game isn't good or whatever.
Yeah. But that's my issue with the advice that's like, make your, like, hype up your game, or whatever, like sell your game to these people, is because that's what everyone does. And it's all, no matter what cool ideas you have, it's all going to look the same in an email inbox. And so if you go to someone like, hey, you're going to love my game, they're probably not going to love your game. And you should expect that.
Yeah.
Like, don't just send your game to you and be like, hey, Avalanche Reviews is my favorite YouTuber. Check this out. Because you might not even see it,
Yeah.
I don't know. How many emails do you get like per month?
It's mostly, I do it through Twitter DMs. DMs. Per month, it's got to be 100.
Yeah. So like blanket, even like professional press on like the freelance side.
Yeah.
When we're looking at like a Keymailer or games.press or whatever, there's 100 press releases every day. The ones that are like, oh, this game is out now, this is what it's like, there are 100 of those. But if you're like, hey, I don't know, I can't even think of a good example because it is very difficult. So I can't practice what I preach because I'm not a game developer. But if you're trying to find something to sell your game on, make it as easy as possible for the people you're selling it to buy into it.
Yeah.
That's what's nice about things like TGS. Is like, if we saw a game that we wanted to play, it's right there. We can just walk up and play it.
You know what? We talked about this before. And for me personally, I don't know if this is for you.
Yeah.
With the indie game section, you're talking right to the developer of the video game, and he's standing right there. And they're like, hey, yeah, come on and play it. And coming from someone like me, this is going to sound so dumb. There's like a social anxiety. It's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
So what I would end up doing is I would take their cards and then follow them on Twitter. And then I could really, dig into their trailers and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. There was a social anxiety aspect of it too.
And again, I think that's the advice that like you need to sell your game, like go to these people, you need to be good PR, good marketing. Like that's going to make or break your game.
Yeah.
I do think the reality though is that most gamers are not charismatic or outgoing, and that I don't want to talk to you. I will come to talk to you if I like your game. But if you approach me, unironically, if you came to me like, hey, here's my game, can you come play it? There is a 100% less chance that I'm going to go play it.
Yeah.
And it's hard to balance those two. Like there are definitely, especially in the public days, there are probably people that will get to play your game,
I imagine,
by selling it.
Yeah. Especially because on the public day, you have zero chance of playing any AAA product, essentially. So the indies are the ones that you can actually get in and get time with.
That was one of the things I did want to talk about in the indie section, was like, this is more of an us issue than it was an indie game issue or the developer or the conference or anything. But we spent so much time trying to get Metal Gear Delta tickets.
Yeah.
We spent so much time running back and forth, Silent Hill 2 to the merch shop to Delta, back and forth, that we were exhausted by the time it was time for Indie Day.
Yeah.
And so if you have the chance to go to an influencer business day, press day, whatever, one day might not be enough.
That's
even
exactly it.
With way less people. There could have been 0 people. It still would have been too much to do it all.
Because it's a long distance that you're walking from one booth to another booth, to food, to whatever. And when, especially at TGS, when literally the indie conference hall is across the street, and you're way over here, the Konami booth was actually as far as you could get almost. But still being in the building,
well, from the indie section.
Yeah.
It's a lot of walking, it's a lot of work, and you're going to be tired. If you're interested in indies and you want to give them the chance, I think you got to go 2 days.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I agree.
And that kind of goes into our last topic here. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? And what are we going to do next year to change it and be better and be cooler?
So I think for sure we didn't play enough stuff.
Yeah.
Which means, like you just said, we're probably going to have to do more than one day. Probably it opens on a Thursday. We went on a Friday. Probably do that Thursday and Friday for the press day. Get maybe a hotel near there.
that's important to note. Even though I'm staying in Tokyo, you live in Tokyo, it's still like an hour and a half
around, yeah,
ride from a subway in the city out to there.
Yeah.
And it is as easy as 2 subway rides.
Mm-hmm.
But just the amount of time, the amount of people, you're gonna have to stand. You're standing for 2 hours before you go to the convention where all you do is walk the entire 8 hours,
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It's just, the human body is not meant for that. I think, throughout human history, there's never been a time where you had to stand for 2 hours, followed by walking for 8 hours, and then stand for 2 hours. Nothing is that time sensitive.
Yeah.
That you could take a break. You're out hunting for food. You're out farming. You can sit on the ground.
That's true.
Take a breather. Stop for a second.
That's a fact.
There is no stopping at a games industry event.
So I guess the real quote here is that going to TGS is harder than being a hunter-gatherer.
So the way I would put it is that all of my ancestors were weak, and they haven't experienced the pure effort and expertise required, and just the pure mental drain and energy drain of playing video games.
So being a streamer is harder than working a regular job.
Actually, I think so.
When you think about it.
Even actually, unironically though, to me, I would rather work construction than be a streamer. To be completely honest, I would rather physically exert myself for 10 hours than have to
interact with people,
be exciting and have a social battery for 10 hours. Like
I would augment that. I would rather work construction than to be a streamer. Streamers are terrible.
If there's no expectation to stream, and I can just go on and whenever I want, like how you do. I feel like streaming today. I'm gonna hop on.
16 days.
Yeah, well, another 16, you might be ready.
Yeah.
You just hop on, stream for an hour, talk to some people. That's great. But being a professional streamer,
I couldn't do it.
There's got to be a reason they're all terrible.
Yeah, there's a really good reason.
Okay, so next year we stay longer, stay closer maybe.
But the other thing is we check out that content creators influencer corner first.
Yeah, if you're a big YouTuber like this guy right here, if you got press access.
Well, a buddy of mine, he only has like 30K subscribers. And
only
he got
30.
In
on Press Day. Wow.
So
tiny YouTuber, that guy.
In the grand scheme of things, you don't have to be huge. I bet you $10, 10,000 subscriber channels could get in.
That's even all the like press websites and everything where you sign up for an influencer, it's like 5 to 10 is like the minimum. So
that makes sense.
If you have 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, you go up. I know social rejection is hard. I know that. I'm the most socially anxious person you will meet. I hate social interaction, but it is worth it to go up and ask, hey, can I get in? Show your YouTube, because then you get a private demo of Metal Gear Solid Delta. Without anyone near you, without no bitch talking in your ear about how bad Konami is. You just play the damn game. And that's what I got to do. So it's worth it.
Bitch.
Yeah, this guy whole time.
But they gave us free monsters too, which is another draw.
Actually, they had a huge monster like it was like a vending machine line, but with people. You got in line, you walked up, they like segmented you into 3 different booths. You walked up, they're like, which energy drink flavor do you want? You pick one and you leave. And I mean, we didn't do it, but I imagine you could just
continue
going back in the line the whole time.
For sure. Why wouldn't you?
Like, yeah, come on. And then they gave us more when we went, because the picture I showed for like Metal Gear Solid Delta, that all the booths are branded Monster Energy.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. There's like a huge Monster logo and everything. Everything's green.
Yeah.
Big presence. Is Monster big in Japan?
They're one of the bigger
energy
drinks.
Every time I look at energy drinks in Japan, it's always like the little bottles, the little potion looking things. I never see like Monster or like Red Bull or anything.
So Monsters here, as far as like energy drinks go, most Japanese people like canned coffee. So energy drinks aren't massive. They do have Red Bull here, less Red Bull than Monster. And then there's another energy drink called Zone. Other than that, they don't have like a massive, huge energy drink culture. So if you go to the Konbini, there's only like 3 slots for energy drinks and an entire refrigerator for coffees.
I'm a fan of that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Good job, Japan. But yeah, overall, TGS, you've been other years, so you have a more fair rating than I do. What would you rate this year compared to previous times?
I think I played less games this year than I did last year, but last year it was like Valkyrie Profile and then FF7 Remake, and I wouldn't call either of those amazing. So I'd say overall it probably the best experience I've had with TGS.
I think we found a good pace to take things at. I think we just needed more time.
For sure. Another day would have done it.
And it is probably very difficult to get this kind of event set up, but there's only like, it starts at like 11-ish, ends by like 5-ish.
Yeah.
There's only like 5 good hours you have at these events.
Yep.
And that doesn't sound like a lot, but that 5 hours is both incredibly draining and also not enough time.
Yeah, it's like 2.5 hours of walking.
Yeah.
And then standing in line for the other 2 hours.
The other 2 hours and then 30
half
minutes
hours to play Metal Gear Solid
exactly.
Delta.
But yeah, I would say my rating very high. I don't know, like I don't feel like an out of 10 score works, but like an A.
Yeah,
you know,
it's great.
A-. Big fan. I want to come back.
Yes.
I will say I haven't been to other industry events, but if Tokyo Game Show wasn't in Tokyo, it does feel like one of the more approachable ones. Like Gamescom is so big.
Yeah.
And Summer Game Fest now is pretty much press only. Game Awards, one night only. What else is there? Like GDC, very developer heavy.
Yeah.
There's PAX. I've never been to a PAX, but I've heard good things about the PAX. They're much smaller. I would say Tokyo Game Show though is like, I mean, there's a reason Tokyo Game Show is the first one I went to. You know, it just feels, it's like on the national stage, but it's like I can grasp it in my hands, unlike some of the other ones.
I get that. Yeah.
So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right. Any last thoughts before we close it out here?
You definitely got to do hair and makeup for me again next year.
Hair and makeup. I will be there. I'll bring my hair curler next time. We can get some stuff going. Maybe some cosplay.
I'll get some length for you.
You could do good Venom Snake with that hair, I think.
Yeah, roundabout. Probably.
Yeah, bright
comb
length.
it over.
Oh well, yeah, exactly. You gotta have. But yeah, this has been RevueLog and our 2-hour episode about Tokyo Game Show. I think we covered everything. If you have any questions, don't put them in the comments because Jared won't read them. I will read them though, and I will answer them.
That's not true. Make it about me.
Oh,
I'll read it.
Yeah. Mention Jared and his bald head. Say
either an interesting insult or a very nice compliment.
It doesn't have to be interesting. You can just insult him.
Just in general, yeah.
Like playground level insult. He will be there to defend himself. It works every time.
For sure.
But this has been RevueLog. Thanks for watching. You are
Jared from Avalanche Reviews.
And we can find you
at Avalanche Reviews.
And I'm Ben Gerken. You can find me here on RevueLog once a month, hopefully.
Yeah.
I guess this is the second time this month. No, this is the first time this month. And then we have Silent Hill 2 Remake, and then we have Silent Hill 4.
Okay.
I want to do.
Dude, Silent Hill 4 is going to be fun.
3 in 1 month. Normally, hopefully once a month, or if it's like the schedule we've actually had, more like one every half month, and then one every 3 months, and then one every 1 month.
Well, listen, if you want to see it more than once a month, show up. Keep getting views.
Yeah, show up. It's your fault.
Yeah.
I blame you.
He's going to do it more often if you watch it more.
But yeah, this has been RevueLog. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.